Guarding the Baltic Sea is an European project. We are working with the EUNIC cluster in Finland closely together, bringing 5 artists from 5 different countries together. And we are meeting in the middle of the Helsinki archipelago on the Vartiosaari Island. Guarding the Baltic Sea means to make ecological challenges of the Baltic Sea audible and visible through artistic research and installations. One of the aims of the project is to promote the artistic exchange among the artists from different European countries. Another aim is, of course, to strengthen the dialogue between art, science and politics.
Well, the Baltic Sea is my passage to my studio. So when you have to cross, then you are connected with nature unavoidably. When there is a storm, you have to learn how to go with the flow of the storm. Or when it's frozen, you need to understand how to move with it. So yeah, the Baltic Sea, it's like a door or some kind of entrance or maybe a gate into entering this island, which is called Vartiosaari, which means guarding island. And my practice is very much based here on this island, because from the island I learn about nature. I collect clay from wherever I go and kind of connecting directly with the history and with the soil of the place, and then I use it for painting. I usually paint with clay in site-specific locations, but working with architecture. So I paint on glass windows or on the walls with like fresco technique. Yeah, so this one is actually like one of the very first tests, and it was made with a collaboration with another artist, Dylan Arnold, and it was before like painting directly on the windows. And yeah, it's a clay paint with glue and applied and drawn on this translucent canvas, and yeah, that's more or less the technique that I use.
So in 2007, I was an artist in residence in Japan, and I really fell in love with the algae. As I saw it on the fish market, I thought, wow, this is like a leather. It's really like a leather that's grown in the sea. But I realized that it's been framed so much as food in Japan that nobody kind of thought of using it as something else. So here I'm combining it for these very light objects with rattan, because rattan itself is similar to the algae. It kind of is very soft when you make it moist, and then it dries and hardens. So both of the materials dry together and create the rhythm by holding each other, but also letting each other, take the lead a little bit. So it's a conversation between the two materials. After I discovered algae as a potential material for making, I became more and more interested in the impact that our materialities and our ways of working with matter have on the environment. So the algae helps me to speak for sea health and ocean health, and to make people aware of how important and how our future in a way will be decided in how we relate to the seas. All right, so let's start. Thank you guys for helping with all the organization. So I'm super excited to bring you all together and that we just spend the time together while making to think of how we could use seaweed differently to heal the sea. I've asked Janika to introduce us to Cladophora glomerata, our main actor, in a way, our main material that we will work with. So hopefully there will be something to show from this workshop in this exhibition. Algae is one of these few materials / organisms where using more of it is not necessarily a bad thing. We can actually grow it in a way that it benefits the ecosystem. So it can be a remedy for some of the imbalances we created. And I think that was the impetus that I thought, oh wow, I can work for you. So the algae becomes my material, my inspiration, but also somewhat the client of the project.
So the wicked problems, the challenges that the Baltic Sea faces now with a lot of quite dramatic ecological changes, this really requires transdisciplinary approaches across different sectors of society, between different disciplines, but also artists have to be a central part of this. I feel that artists and creative practitioners can often even mediate between different disciplines and their kind of dialogue across language barriers. Artists can envision different kinds of futures and bring in perspectives that are otherwise not recognized in these discussions and research. Vartiosaari is an interesting place also because of its name and its location as one of these many islands that have been very crucial parts of the kind of geopolitical situation and as a kind of guarding island historically. But it's also a reminder that these ecological issues to do with the Baltic Sea are always also entangled with geopolitics and other societal questions that need to be addressed.
I'm Kristina Õllek. I'm a visual artist from Estonia. On Vartiosaari, I've been using this time to really connect with people here in Finland, different scientists, also organizational bodies as HELCOM, marine biologists, geologists, so to have like a different viewpoint to the Baltic Sea. What I take here with the camera is like one of the layers onto which I start to build on a work or create a installation even out of it. Although Baltic Sea has a very low salinity, it's very interesting that it's varying a lot. While I started to think on this saltiness, the salinity of the Baltic Sea, I wanted to also bring in the sea salt into my work, and I started to experiment with the sea salt growing onto the photographs, and that the photographs themselves actually become sculptures. It's a process which takes 2 months to grow, which is also, I think, very interesting as an artist, that you don't take full control of, but there are also some situations that just happen and you don't know why.
I'm Ville Aslak Raasakka. I'm a Finnish composer and an occasional sound artist. What I'm aiming in is to, let's say, like give a voice to certain organisms or beings that really don't have a voice, and maybe they're even in places that we can't, listen to them even. But this is what I'm interested in, this sort of, like these vocalizations. Making these sort of vocalizations from organisms that don't have this sort of organs of localization at all. Some of it is a little bit sunken, like semi-wet, and here is kind of completely submerged in water. And what I'm doing is I have 4 different kinds of algae: bull kelp from New Zealand, saccharina from Japan, and bladderwrack from Lofoten, and then there's the cladoflora from here in Vartiosaari and the Baltic Sea, and I'm bringing this together into this sound art piece where the seaweeds are sort of chattering and making this sort of like talking sounds, sort of getting them together to speak to one another. That's the idea of the piece that's coming to Helsinki Design Week. Yeah.
The project is really important to do because the Baltic Sea is one of the most polluted marine environments in the entire world, and it is bordered by 9 different countries, and it affects a lot of people. And I think it's important to, for this reason, combine science and art to reach a more wider audience and to create a better understanding for the broad public. So the French Institute's role in this project is to, together with my colleague Mathieu, we are holding a conference where the scientific and artistic aspects will be discussed more in detail, and also we have invited a French duo that will work on an artistic project on the island.
So we are Lefebvre Zisswiller. We are coming from France, and we are mainly making images in an expanded practice with filmmaking, but also photography and also recording sounds also for the films and video. In our working process, we are often first investigating in the territory we inhabit. So we are starting by collecting images, documenting, to record sounds across the territory in some ways. Then it leads us to fiction.
I think we are all concerned with the Baltic and the Baltic Sea body as person, but also as a European person. I think it's really important to be focused on the Baltic Sea right now, because it's a body and we have to take care about this body. D'aller sous la surface, enfin puisqu'elle vit sous la surface, mais aussi de monter et d'être transportée aussi.
For this specific project, for the residency, we are focusing on the invisible part of the Baltic, focusing on species which are the algae, and prototyping a form which can kind of let us think about possible futures for the sea. And the fact that we can meet people who are interested by algae, like scientists, also encourage us to build these forms and to speculate, to imagine a story in a video where we could film this form and tell a story about these links.
In the kayak we are doing sound recording with a microphone, so it's a first step to go deeper in this environment, liquid environment.
I think artists and scientists have in common this way of searching and experimenting things. So I think we have a lot in common and a lot to share when we are talking together and when we are sharing process. I think it feeds us, but it also can feed the scientists. At least it is what we hope.